This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to pilchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right, Avram, we're gonna go right to the core of technology tonight, right?
Yes. So let's talk about the biggest scientific event or non-event of the summer, which is the development, excitement, and testing around LK-99. What is LK-99? LK-99 is a substance that has been synthesized and published about by Korean researchers, specifically Lee Suk-bai and Kim Ji-hoon. That's the L and the K in LK-99. Lee Kim, I think they say when researching this since 1999, that's where it becomes LK-99. Anyway, that is supposed to be a room temperature superconductor. Wow. That if a room temperature superconductor was discovered, it would be tremendous. So take a step back. A lot of people probably don't know what a superconductor is. And to be honest, I didn't know a lot about superconductors for the last couple of weeks, and I probably still don't know enough about superconductors, but we've been talking about this a lot at Tom's Hardware. So a superconductor is a material that can conduct electricity with no resistance, unlike, say, everything else. And superconductors do exist today, but in order for them to work, they have to be extremely cold. So, we're talking like, 200 degrees below Celsius, or with extreme pressure, or they have to have extreme conditions put on the material for it to act as a superconductor, like, freezing it with liquid nitrogen or something. And that's nice, but if you could have something that required no, extra pressure put on it, extra freezing temperature, then you'd really have something. Because a superconductor can basically doesn't lose is 100% efficient, right? When your electricity is moving through most substances, a lot of it is lost to heat. A lot of it. So there's great inefficiency, which wastes energy. If you have computer chips, you know that a lot of the electrical activity comes off as heat, and you need all these coolers to, prevent the material from, say, melting or breaking with your CPU. If your CPU could be made out of a superconductor, then you could just imagine that, would you even need cooling at all? You would certainly have a lot more efficiency, much faster computing. You would be able to do crazy supercomputing on, ridiculous amounts of processing on, a computer in your house, right? The amount of computing power that you would get. You would also have the ability to have electrical grids where the distribution of electricity was much, much, much more efficient, because all of the electricity that's lost on the way from the from the power plant to your house wouldn't be lost if it was traveling over superconductors. A lot of other things that kind of do require superconductors is an MRI machine requires superconductors. So, but they have to be super cooled. With one of these, you could make a much better MRI machine. Maybe be able to see things a lot better, diagnose things better, help people better. That would be a fantastic breakthrough. It's been a holy grail of physics. So these scientists, Lee and Kim, and published a paper saying, "Hey, we've formulated this substance LK-99, and at room temperature, it's a superconductor." But it was not peer. Their study was not peer reviewed, and they didn't provide certain key details, and there was a lot of skepticism. But they did provide some directions about how to make your own LK-99. So what happened? A whole lot of people on the internet, including other university researchers, went out and tried to replicate their findings. And we got some very interesting stuff, but we also got a lot that said that they couldn't replicate the findings. No one has completely replicated the findings. There have been some who use computer simulations that said, "Hey, this should work," but in real life, no one has been able to replicate the findings. What we did get, though, and I'll share my screen to show some of this because oops, we've done some interesting stories about this on Tom's Hardware. Is so, um, so for example, we a lot of people posted videos. Particularly, there were a lot of researchers in China publishing videos to Bilibili, which is like Chinese YouTube, and you can see in the videos this little black speck, and the little black speck is supposed to be like the LK-99, and you can see that it's sort of levitating, uh, like they're poking at it, right? But it's sort of levitating over this magnet. Um, and the thought there is that a superconductor um, has some a property called diamagnetism, which means that it actually repels magnetic um, fields. So a superconductor can float above a magnetic surface. However, it's important to note that diamagnetism could happen without it being a superconductor, and it could happen, and there are other ways to have magnetic levitation that are not diamagnetism. So, so there's some question about whether what these folks are seeing here actually proves that this is a superconductor. There was another Chinese university that claimed that they got it to superconduct at sub-zero, temperatures, so not at room temperature, but others have said they weren't even able to reproduce that. But a lot of people are still working on this. There are some who are going to actually get samples from the Korean lab, so that may give them some, um, more insight to get it. Because one of the questions is, did everyone who synthesized it synthesize it exactly the same way as the original Korean lab did? Because it's hard to make. Well, I guess it's easy. It doesn't work. It's not expensive to make, but I guess there's some randomness involved in it. There also was an incident where someone who posted a video, not one of the two I showed you, a different video of a magnetic levitation, came out and said that this wasn't LK-99, or this wasn't uh, correct, and this was a fraud, and they had to take their video down. Similarly, a couple of new studies say that it's actually a ferromagnet, not diamagnet, not showing diamagnetism. In other words, it's just a repulsing magnetic field. Um, and and there also is uh, a theory out there that, by the way, I think these pictures came from Shutterstock, and I think that they are not actually okay. These are illustrative, we said, um, but um, there's a theory that doping it, meaning adding some more materials to it, could lead to it being a superconductor. But so far, nobody has actually seen it get there in the real world, apart from the original authors whose work has been called into question. But this has been a huge thing. There's been a huge thing going on Twitter, or you want to call it X, um, talking about the different studies. There have been a lot of people trying to reproduce them. There's been all these videos on Bilibili. There have been other ones besides these trying to show levitation, all kinds of crazy stuff, all about this LK-99, because people really are hungry for, hey, wouldn't it be wouldn't it be great if you had a room temperature superconductor? And this is one of the first things I've seen where you have people just all around the world, people in laboratories at different universities, people in uh, their kitchens with a kiln or whatever, trying to reproduce this, um, trying to kind of see if they can reproduce this study, uh, which is pretty cool because I think most scientific quote unquote breakthroughs or alleged breakthroughs, uh, it's not there isn't so much immediate ability for someone to just go out and try it and see if they can replicate.
Hmm. Yeah, this whole story has been fascinating. Um, I've been following it off and on. Our good friend Chris Jordan has posted about it, and I've been following stuff on Tom's Hardware as well. It's it's really interesting because if big emphasis on the if this is real, it would completely change the way so much of the world works. It's unbelievable what it the potential for this, but the likelihood is completely nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, especially because these scientists didn't really follow the procedure that you're normally seeing.
Yeah.
Um, but normal procedure. But I think that also is part of what's made it interesting in the story is
Mm-hmm.
there are people instead of the kind of normal sort of slow process of science, like, hey, we're going to do this, we're not going to show it to anybody until we've proven it over and over again, and we're not and you're going to wait years to find out. Like here you've got a really fast process of people try. I mean, supposedly they've been talking about this for a couple of years, but since their paper came out, they sort of said how to do it. There's been how to make your own. There's been just a lot of people trying to do it. So I mean, it's interesting because you see other things that people have worked on scientifically recently, and I don't know, it just doesn't go out on the internet or on places like that. I mean, I don't know how much knowledge sharing was going on when, say, pharma companies were developing, mRNA vaccines to use
Mm-hmm.
for COVID vaccines or whatever. But like that was another area where you had something major scientific product being worked on supposedly really quickly, but you didn't have them tweeting out like, "Oh yeah, so here's how you can make an mRNA vaccine in your kitchen
Yeah.
to try it," right? So it's interesting because there's a lot of people trying to replicate the breakthrough who are able to attempt it, um, and you're seeing papers on what's the name of that service? RX, or I don't know how to pronounce it, RxVF or whatever, where they have preprint scientific papers just going up every day. Um, so, uh, it's nice. I don't know. It's for me, it's nice to see that there's something where you got a scientific community and people who are more lay people excited about a potential breakthrough, and a lot of different people able to kind of participate in the process of scientific discovery, even if it's disproving something. And I know that like real scientists probably would disagree. They'd probably be like, "Hey, this is embarrassing because these people came out with this and it was half baked or something, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got a lot of attention for themselves and it's turned out to not work." I mean, that's the general consensus at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still could. There's still a chance, right? Um, but I think it's been great that there's actually been something out there where they shared information as kind of open. Well, it wasn't open enough because they kept some things to themselves, but theoretically open source about a scientific discovery, and then people going out and trying to replicate it. I mean, I think it would be cool if more science happened that way, where you could have a lot of people just trying really fast to try and replicate or have new discoveries instead of kind of the normal slow hidden process.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a change. And I mean, the results have not been great, and certainly inconsistent in what we've seen come back. Some of that inconsistency, of course, comes from other people possibly being interested in getting on the same bandwagon or whatever. Like the video that no, this wasn't real. This was, I'm gonna pull it down. Right, there's some people trying to jump onto the hype train, but you know, inconsistency is its own result, right? In studies, when you get, if you do the study a couple of times and the results are inconsistent, that's usually a sign that the study itself is bad. And that might be what we've got here. That the inconsistency in the results could be that, you know, the whole foundation is bad. But whatever it is,
Yeah,
it's fascinating to watch.
yeah, it is fascinating to watch. I always say we're in the business of interesting, not necessarily the business of good. This has been really interesting, and I hope that it inspires uh, more people to look for an actual superconductor that can operate at room temperature. There have been apparently false starts about this before, just as there has been
Yeah.
false starts about cold fusion, um, things like that. But it would be nice to see some kind of positive scientific breakthrough. I mean, what is the last big scientific breakthrough that you heard about where, wow, we really, discovered something new?
Yeah.
Everything seems kind of iterative.
Mm-hmm. For quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you were just showing us articles. There must be tons of content out there on this from you.
Yes. Yes. So go to tomsharper.com and look for our LK-99, LK-99 articles, of which we've got like five or six. And we'll be doing more if more happens. I think we've reached a little bit of a slowdown in the interest in this and the news coming out because a lot of disproving studies have happened. And so I guess we got to see if there are any more proving things that would actually prove it. Um, there have been simulations, of course, that say it should work, but
Sure.
then that's neither here nor there. So um, we'll stay on top of this. I mean, we don't. It's not something that we normally approach materials science, but it was something that one of our writers said, "Hey, there's a lot of drama going on with this, and we thought we should do a story on it." And we did a story, and then we saw a lot of people were interested. So we did. We kept doing more stories, and people were interested for a while. And I think it's an interesting topic, and we'll see if more happens.
For sure. Well, like you said, it's an interesting topic. I appreciate you bringing it up because, like I said, I've been trying to follow it, but not in detail. And it really is an interesting story. And the theory brings a lot of promise. The reality does not appear to line up with the theory, though. So it'll be interesting to see if anything does eventually come out of this, like you said, with doping, you know, adding other stuff to it, maybe perfecting the formula. Maybe someday, maybe this does become the basis of something uh, scientifically changing. We will have to see. And I look forward to what we talk about next time. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, Please subscribe to our channel and, of course, hit the notification bell since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.